Katie Horvath. This is called Into the City. I'm here today with Greg Jones. Greg, thanks a lot for coming to chat today.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Greg's looking for your votes. He's running as a city councillor in the upcoming municipal election. Greg, for those who have not yet had a chance to meet with you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run for council this year?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Sarnia, Ontario. I'm a father of an 11-year-old daughter who's my world. I spent a lot of time with her. And I want to make the city a better place for her. And I've been seeing a lot of unfortunate things happening in Sarnia lately, and I decided that it's time to step up and make a difference in my city.
All right. And what is it about you that you think would make you a good representative for the people of Sarnia?
My ability to work with anybody and everybody. I've worked in the trades and the plants for 18 years now, and I get along great with people, and I'm a good hard-working person, and I'm a man of my word.
Okay, great. So for this part of the interview, I'd like to ask the candidates a little bit about their reflections on the current council. So we could start with in general. Can you comment on the current term of council, the 2014 to present term?
That's a good question, and I'm glad that you asked me that, but I'd like to focus on what we're going to do going forward as the new council coming in, because the past is the past, and what are we going to do to change our city for the better?
Okay. So let's say you are elected, and I know you want to move forward. So what are some ideas that you have to kind of move the city forward in a new direction?
Well, I have a lot of different ideas that I've been thinking about. One is how we can get our youth up to Canatera to enjoy what we already have in the summertime, to start a bus program where the youth can get on the bus for relatively inexpensive amount of money and get them up to Canatera and start using the resources that we have for the citizens to enjoy.
Okay, great. So there were, we don't have to focus, but there were a couple of things that had happened that were somewhat divisive topics for the current council. So let's say you do get elected, and if there's a conflict, what's your approach to conflict, and what could we expect from you if you were elected in terms of dealing with it?
Well, I believe that the only way you settle conflict is by talking. And if you don't talk with other people and work through your problems, you're never going to get anywhere. So you just need to have good communication and accept other people's opinions and work through it.
Okay, great. So most important issues that the people of Sarnia are facing, what do you think are the top 3 issues in Sarnia?
One of the top 3 issues in Sarnia, I'm going to start with seniors' homes and places to go. I don't know if a lot of people realize, but 50% of the population of Sarnia is 50 years and older. And a lot of people right now are having to spend time in our hospitals, which is taking up beds for other people that could be in there because they're waiting to get into a nursing home. Mm-hmm. So that's, a very important issue because like Sarnia has been promoted as a retirement place for a long time. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do with these retired people when they can no longer live in their houses? And the people that live in Sarnia, that are born and raised in Sarnia right now, can't get into a nursing home. Mm-hmm. And the expense in our hospitals and stuff like that, because these people can't get to a nursing home. Yeah. So that's one of my thoughts that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that had to do with my mom going through that experience. Mm-hmm. And talking with different people around town, and I tell them about that experience, they're going through the same thing. People have had to put their families out in Forest, Strathroy, in Chatham, because there's no place for them in Sarnia. Mm-hmm. So we need to do that, right? Because you got to keep family together. So now you got your mom who's not able to take care of herself, or your father, you have to put him in a home in another city. Mm-hmm. And you can't even be there every day, and if you are there every day, that's a lot of work for people. So we need to take care of that. Also, the drug epidemic in Sarnia, we need to clean that up. When I grew up, and a lot of people grew up in Sarnia, we used to have variety stores on every corner. We have meth houses on every corner now. Mm-hmm. It's bad everywhere, but I've read studies that show that Sarnia is above the national average. And we need to come up with our own comprehensive plan with policing, mental health workers, addiction services, the city, all need to get together, come on board, and come up with a plan on how we're going to help, the people that are suffering, that want to get help, but have no really place to turn to. Mm-hmm. Well, there is some good programs, and there's a lot of good people in the city that are really trying their best to make a difference. It's not good enough, and we're years behind. Mm-hmm. So we need to do that. B, we need to go after the people that are robbing us every night. I talk with people that work on the street and different sites that I go on and stuff like that. There's robberies daily of different things. People work for and they have in their backyards or their garage. They're getting robbed, cars getting broken into, mm-hmm. and it's a mess, right? So, I don't know the answers to that as far as the policing. Do we need to have more officers on the street? My big thing is I want to get officers back walking the beat. to get out of their cruisers and to get into the community, and the community will engage them a little bit more, as opposed, not everybody wants to call the cop. I don't really like calling the cops, right? But if you're in the community and you have a problem and there's a house that's being an issue as far as a drug house or something like that, there's a greater chance that you can talk with that police officer, and then that police officer can talk with all the neighbors, and you can actually do something. And it's been proven, and I've seen studies where when they get police back in the community, everything, tends to work a little bit better. It cleans the neighborhood up.
Right.
And number 3 is our infrastructure in Sarnia. It's falling apart. And I talk with a lot of different people, including myself. I'm a taxpayer. I'm just the average person. And I'm not getting a bang for my buck. The only bang I'm getting is when I drive to the grocery store and my car is bouncing all over the place because there's potholes everywhere. Or you see sewers dropping into the road where it's undermined. Or you see where the cities come along and put a stick up with a light on it and they don't come back for 3 or 4 weeks to fix that problem. So we need to get on our infrastructure, and we also need to build infrastructure to draw in new businesses in Sarnia. So that when a new business wants to come, say a trucking company or different things like that, we've already got places that are already sewered and electricity is ready to go, and they can basically walk in. Because if you try and get a contract or a deal with a new company to come to Sarnia, but you got a year's worth of infrastructure to put in before they come here, they're probably going to go somewhere else where have already done the infrastructure.
Right.
So we need to start being leaders and to draw more business in.
Great. And what are some of the new businesses that you would like to see enter the Sarnia area?
Well, I think a lot about that, and I've seen that the call centers come and go. I think they pulled through the pool of people we got, and then there was really nobody else to go to, whatever, and it didn't work out. I'd like to see our business, Sarnia, grow with businesses that are more smaller, but that start off like, say, why couldn't we land a trucking company here? 30, 40 people from the area could get some work, whatever, right? Stuff like parcel companies. So today everything's bought online, right? Why couldn't we be a hub, for the different parcels that are coming around, be a hub for transferring them out, something like that. The petrochemical industry, it's growing, it's getting better. We got Nova out there right now, and there's going to be lots of work for the next couple of years. And a lot of the other plants in Pure Oil are investing millions of dollars into their plants, so there's some good work. We need to focus on getting more work for the youth, though. That's one thing that I hear a lot about. People talk about the declining amount of people that live in Sarnia, that all the youth are leaving because there's no jobs here. Well, they're right. So we need to focus on how we can get more jobs and stuff like that for them. Maybe even like, the tech industry is something that, we could pitch for. You got places in Toronto that are paying crazy amount of money to be in an office building and run a tech company that's totally run online. They don't need to be in Toronto. They don't need to be paying, let's say, whatever they pay, $10,000 a month. But they come down here and maybe operate $15,000 or $100 a month, whatever rental space, right? Just things like that. So we need to aggressively go after things like that. And if you got, say, the trucking company, the parcel company, then you got the tech company, whatever, maybe within a year or two, we've got 200 people working. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. But those are jobs that'll hopefully stay in the community and won't just come and go. I've seen a lot of companies, like I say, come and go. So, and I think that's because we try and go too big with what we're looking for at one shop for the amount. We've got to keep in mind, if we're going to draw businesses to Sarnia, we've got to be able to put the manpower into them, right? So you can only grow so fast, but you can go steady growth. Steady growth is better than steady decline. Right.
So on the topic of youth, do you have any ideas or thoughts on things that we could do to kind of retain? I know you mentioned working, but other ideas for the youth and to kind of keep them around?
Well, I think work is the big thing. Lambton College is pretty good about drawing in youth from around the world. We have a lot of international students that come here, and they do pretty good or whatever, right? Maybe, it's a matter of expanding more programs at Lambton College. So, for example, kids don't have to go down to Fanshawe or to Windsor and stuff like that to take the programs, and they could, stay in the community, take it here, and maybe open up their own business here.
Okay, great. So there's a lot of people that are running for the 4 seats on the city side, 28 of you guys. So if you were elected, what could we expect from you, and why should we vote for you as opposed to one of the other 28?
Okay, well, what you can expect from me is somebody who's just going to stick to what I say, and I'm going to try and make the best improvements for our city that I can. There's only so much a city council person can do. You have upper management, that pulls a lot of the strings and stuff like that or in the city, and you can only attract so much business as a council person and stuff like that. But I think to work together, we could work together on the red tape to make it easier for businesses to open up in Sarnia, and you know, therefore keeping the youth around a little bit more.
Okay, great. So that's it for questions that I have for you, but what is your final message that you have for the people of Sarnia?
Okay, well, I got a few things actually I'd like to say. I kind of wrote down here just to refresh myself, whatever, right, that I want to talk with people about. I want to tell you, one of the things I want to mention is who I am as far as what I've done in the community. A lot of people have asked me that, well, what have you done for charity work around Sarnia? How have you been involved in improving the city? So, for 18 years now, I've been involved with food drives, working in the plants where I work. We will set up a couple of big barrels, and everybody will donate food or whatever, right? And I've been the primary person to get some of those ones going, actually. Usually once or twice a month, somebody's child will be sick, or there'll be somebody in the community that'll need this. So we run 50-50 draws at work, where we go around, we sell a deck of cards for 20 bucks a card. 50% goes to the guy who wins, 50% goes to whatever charity or whoever we're trying to help at the time. And you find most of the time, this is what I like about tradespeople, the guys never keep their winnings.
Really?
They never do. They always say, you know what, just give it to the family. You know, we're fortunate in Sarnia. We have some pretty good paying jobs, and we've got a lot of good people in the community. You know, so another thing that I did a couple of years ago, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but sponsoring my daughter's soccer team. I found out at Lottie Neely Park that the girls' soccer, they didn't have enough sponsors. They weren't even sure if they could run a full league. So I asked the lady, you know, what's it take to sponsor a team? She said, 200 bucks. I said, is that it? She goes, yeah. So I put up the 200 bucks and sponsored it through a company that I had. And then she says to me, she goes, well, we need coaches. And I said, well, I've never coached soccer before. So I said, well, I'll coach where, right? I'll be assistant coach. Well, turns out I was actually the coach for the first couple of weeks. And then they got another guy to come on board, and we had it's a great experience. I think that anybody who's done SMA sports in Sarnia, when they were a child growing up, which most of us have, should give back 1 year. If everybody gave back 1 year to the community, it would be a great community to live in, you know? You know, one of the other things that I wanted to mention too is, like I think I've already mentioned, seniors housing or whatever, right? That's a big priority or whatever, right? We got even myself, I'm going to be 49 years old, right? They got to build this place that I'm going to need to live in about 15, 20 years from now or whatever, right? But, you know, like I said, 50% of our community is 50 years and older, and people are taking their family members out of town because they can't find a place here. You know, and it's a small, like, I hear everybody going on about small businesses. I'm a supporter of small business. Well, who isn't? You know, we're all supporters of small businesses. So what I'd like to do is get together and look at how we can make it easier for a small business to open up in the city. You know, to give them better opportunities so they don't have to jump through as much red tape at the city end, you know, and to make it more hospitable for them, right, as they're opening up their business. I mentioned roads and infrastructure. I thought for the longest time, until I started to run and went out and met a lot of people, that it was kind of a South End problem, you know what I mean, and all the streets were just falling apart. We were to collect the river. Then I started going out to the North End, different people calling me up saying, Greg, we want one of your signs out here. So I started going out there, and when I get out there to put my sign, people come out and they talk to me and they go, look at our street over here, it's collapsing, and see that street light over there at the corner? It hasn't worked in half a year, and different things like that, right? So it's everywhere. You know, we need to start spending some money on to improve our city. You know what? Things like the mall. The mall could have been sold a long time ago. You know what I mean? But it was delayed on because they didn't want to sell the property. Well, who in their right mind is going to want to come buy something, own it, but don't own the property that it's on? It'd be different if they were renting it out or leasing it. You know, so the hospital sat there and become an eyesore for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that, maybe not that long.
I'm not sure. A while though.
It's been a while. It's been 4 or 5 good solid years anyway, whatever, right? And it's just become a breeding ground for crime and different things going on. And you know, it took them forever to finally get their act together and allow a company to move forward. You know, so I think about things like that. So it could have been done a little bit better. Policing. Now in Sarnia, from what the research I've done, we have the highest paid police in Ontario. They make more money than police officers that are working at Jane and Finch in Toronto. Why is that? I'd like to find out. Not saying they shouldn't get paid for a good buck for the service that they're doing, but why are they making more money than, like I said, somebody at Jane and Finch who deals with gun crimes daily? You know? So that's something that needs to be looked into, and we need to get actually more, like I said, more police out on the streets. Things got to change. I think about the police board, and I think about different things, and I think honestly that it's time to maybe change up who sits on the police board, and get a fresh view on there, and engage the public a little bit more about what they expect from their police services, and about what they expect from the city, and what they expect for the bang for their buck, so to speak.
Right.
You know, I pay a lot of taxes, and I know there's a lot of people in here. I've talked to some people who live in certain areas in town, and they tell me how much they pay in taxes. I think, oh my God, that's more than it's double my mortgage, you know? But what are they getting for it, right? So I think we need to get together as a city and make sure that people are getting the true value for what they're paying for. And yeah, so basically I just want to say that if you elect me, if I get the opportunity to be elected by the people of Sarnia, like I said, I've been born and raised here in the city. I have an 11-year-old daughter. My greatest thing is to leave my daughter the best city that I can and the best life that I can. She's my greatest passion for running, so that she can have all the things that I had as a youth in the city that are now gone. And we can just make it a better environment for all our children, and help the entire community heal through the drug epidemic and the lack of jobs right now to become a better place. We got a beautiful city. A lot of people say, Greg, you know, you're always talking about the drugs and the needles and everything all found around the city and stuff like that, which I'm trying to point out. I've done a good job of pointing that out. People are talking now about it and things are getting done or whatever. But I do want to point out also, like, the waterfront's beautiful.
Yeah.
We got beautiful beaches. You know, the sounds of the ships and the seagulls at night and stuff like that, you know, we kind of take for granted because we live or whatever. But, you know, I've talked to different people that have moved away for a little bit. When they come back, they realize how much they missed it. So let's take what we got and start to improve it. And one last thing is, I was just thinking about, that I thought about before, is promoting it more as a tourist place in the summertime. There's no reason why we can't have a lot of people travel to Great Lakes in the summertime. Let's make Sarnia a must-stop destination for people to come. I even thought about putting in a couple little docks down here along the water by Lockyo Street, like ups and downs on the water. You know, you could have them sponsored by some of the businesses that are downtown, where people can come park their boat for free for a couple hours and come up and have lunch at one of the different places downtown, and then get back in the boat and carry on their way. You know, there's all kinds of different stuff. Like I was talking about the park and getting people there. You know, the buses, getting the children up there, building an ice rink at where Jackson Swimming Pool used to be. They let that go for too long. That's a lot of money. Let's take the money from Jackson Swimming Pool, defer a little bit about what we would put into it. You know, I don't remember the numbers, but they were quite a bit. And put it into a program in the summertime so that our youth can take the bus for $1. The bus is already going there, half empty. So if we can get another 10 people on their day in the summertime, they're only paying $1 there and $1 to get back. And have it so their parents, if they're accompanied by their child, pay $1 and get the kids up there and use the beach. Or it can be either there or Centennial or one of our other different beaches that we have. So I just want to make it a better community and work hard for the city.
All right. Well, that's great. Thanks again for coming in to chat. I just want to thank everybody also that's watching. If you guys like what Greg has to say, the polls are open online. You can also vote by telephone on October 11th, 24/7 through to October 22nd, the election day. And again, this is Greg Jones running for City Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.